Hello, listeners. Welcome back. It is us, Dragon's Greed Gaming, and you are joining us for, I think it's episode 4
I
of,
think so.
yeah, we've recorded 5 times. This episode 4. Episode 4 of Tale of Four Gamers, our journey back through the wonderful old world of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, 6th edition. So, as usual, we'll go around here, show off everybody's progress, talk a little bit, and yeah, so how's everybody doing so far? How's your last month been, fellas?
Slow.
Yeah.
Super
Okay.
slow. Yeah, slow motion. Might have been in reverse, actually.
Yeah, mine
Yeah.
was a little slow too. Okay.
Damn, all right, good. I'm not the only
yeah.
one.
Yeah, it could have been better, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
before we dive into that, I want to just touch base on last weekend was Warhammer Fest here in the real world, and we finally got another update for the old world. And yeah, they showed off some new models. We've got that new Bretonnian knight on foot stabbing the orc through the eye, and then we've got that very, very cool looking Tomb King. I've got the pictures here in chat for you fellas to look at. So it was really cool, but I think, and I see a lot of people that were disappointed with the announcement, and I think the problem is that, at least from where I'm sitting, there was a ton of hype around this announcement because it was Warhammer Fest and everybody thought it was going to be this huge big thing. And at the end of the day, all it was another one of their monthly announcements. And then to kind of put salt in the wound, if you weren't at Warhammer Fest, you didn't get to hear the rest of the stuff they talked about, which was all the stuff they did in the panel. So I think that was a mistake, because then we started seeing all these things from other content creators and on Twitter and things like that of, oh, here's the slides from the FAQ where they answered all these questions that everybody's interested in, like, are Chaos Dwarves going to be playable? Stuff like that. So I don't know why they did that. I don't know if they underestimated, but I think that GW really dropped the ball there. And if nothing else, they should have had a secondary follow-up article or something showing off all the stuff that was in the panel, because it's kind of infuriating that if you weren't a content creator and invited there, or you weren't one of the like 800 people who managed to get inside that hall, because again, it's like a convention with like, I don't know, 4,000 or 8,000 people, and the audio hall or the auditorium could only fit like 800 or 900 people. Everybody else is crowded around like a TV screen outside in the hallway. That's like super disappointing. So I'm definitely in the camp where I feel like, wow, I was expecting more, maybe because of all the hype that everybody was putting out there, on social media and stuff. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I in the wrong here?
I definitely agree with that, because I mean, we saw 2 models, and a lot of times in the previous articles that we have received, they were showing like war gear packs, head packs. So like only 2 models seemed a little bit of a letdown, and then having to like scour Twitter to just find the answers to the FAQs that they got the answer.
Yeah.
And like I think there was some confusion in some of those answers, because then some of the hosts of the FAQ kind of like jumped on some of the threads like to clarify things, but that could have been easily solved by just, like you said, releasing an article that kind of just said, hey, these are the kind of things we talked about.
Yeah, and not having like being very clear with what they meant, like the whole thing about there's not going to be a starter set and people like lost their shit. Like, you need to like give that a caveat before you go, there's not going to be a starter set, and like explain what that means. And then, from what I read and heard, it sounded like then after like 100 people asked more questions, like, what do you mean there's not going to be a starter set? Then they had to like clarify it. And it's like, do you guys not expect that like every single thing you say is going to have this crazy ripple effect because people are so hyped and excited about this? So like, I mean, it's good they did the FAQ. That's cool. But, you're giving it to a sample of like maybe a couple hundred or thousand people at most, when there's, probably tens of thousands of people that want to know what the hell's going on. So,
and honestly, a lot of the reviews I saw coming out of the event itself were kind of lackluster as well.
Yeah, there's definitely some mixed stuff there. So I mean, if I had spent the money to go all the way to the UK, I probably would have been disappointed
for a 3-day event.
Yeah, and then the fact they've got like Old World was listed on that thing where it was like, oh, here's all the things we're going to talk about. So as soon as you put that Old World stamp on there, people are expecting big stuff. So I mean, part of it's because we've got 10th edition coming out. There's stuff about Horus Heresy, so I think it's only natural that people latch on. But like Games Workshop, you're sitting on a gold mine here. Like, don't mess it up. Like, people are gonna spend money, even if they've got armies like all of us. We're all gonna buy new models, all right? There's no guarantee about it. And like, you need, even though they said like it might not be really for beginners or new players, like the reason this is happening, there's a huge part of this is because of the success of the Total War franchise. And there are hundreds, probably thousands of people that know little to nothing about Warhammer and Games Workshop outside of those games. So I know they kind of said there'll be ways for them to get into it, but don't alienate what could also be a huge part of the success of this. Like, you want new people into this, and if the whole reason you stopped making Warhammer in the first place was because it wasn't selling well, then why would you just gear this towards veteran players? Like, it needs to be for everybody. So we'll see.
Veteran players seem to be why they stopped in the first place. So
yeah.
We need the new people.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, we always want more players. So anyway, that's enough about that. Let's talk about our progress this round. So we'll start off in
let's keep talking about that, actually.
45 minutes of filler. It's an episode of DBZ. We'll start with Sean. I've got your images here first in chat. So talk us through what you've done this month.
Yeah, it was definitely a slower month, really busy at work, but I had another unit of skeletons, and so I was trying instead of the layer highlight method, I tried dry brushing them, and then I couldn't resist trying to make them look cleaner by like a little bit of layering.
Yeah.
I honestly, I didn't really like how it came out on the actual bone, so I might just go back to layering.
It looks a little fuzzy.
Yeah.
Is that your primer or is that the model?
It might be the primer, but it's also the model.
What kind of primer are you using?
The same one, like the Army Painter sand primer.
Oh, okay.
So
have you tried Games Workshop's Xandri Dust?
I have not, so
maybe try that. I mean, I've used Army Painter and I've never really had issues, but
yeah,
I've never put it up fine tooth comb against for what you're doing. So
yeah. So, unfortunate. Yeah, I'll probably try the Xandri Dust, and then also get a better wash, because I was using like the Army Painter or it's actually a Vallejo wash. It just wasn't as good as like the Griffin Sepia or whatever the current wash they're using. So I did the skeletons, and then I also started working on the armor and weapons. So I did the shields, and I actually like how the shields came out.
Oh yeah, the shields look great.
Did a bunch of layering for that red because it's a very thin paint, but then I was trying a sort of non-metallic gold on the trim.
Oh,
so that didn't come out too bad. I might have to layer that up a few more times, but with the sword,
braver than I am. I've never attempted non-metallics.
Yeah, it's an interesting paint thing. I had to look up articles and watch some tutorials, so interesting. Yeah. With the swords, I tried two different things. I was trying kind of like an obsidian stone look on the swords. So one I painted just all black and then very lightly dry brushed, and that's the one on the left. So that one didn't come out looking too well. The other one I did a very dark, almost black but dark gray, and then I edge highlighted with a light gray, and I think that one came out a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, the first one looks like stone to me versus metal, and the second one looks more metallic to me.
Okay, yeah.
So I see what you're going for.
I also did some work on the bows, but I didn't take a picture of that. So I'm just painting the bows same color as the shields, this dark red, and then it's going to be, the tips are going to be also that like gold color.
Okay.
I've run into a slight issue is that these skeletons pose very weird with their arms, because the socket is a circle, but it's lodged into their shoulder piece at the bottom, so you only have like a half circle at the bottom to try to position their arms. So a lot of them have their arms up like this.
Oh, is that what I see underneath his collar? Those little nubs? Those are the like the ball joints you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've positioned a couple of them and they look real wonky. So yeah, it's something like what Brian's doing. So I might start taking green stuff and give them the bigger sockets so I can actually position them sort of like normal looking.
Oh yeah, because it looks like they can only go like half your poses you can't do because the top half is like blocked.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was what happened this month.
How many skeletons are in this unit, or how many are you working on?
This is a unit of 10. The last one was a unit of 20.
Okay.
So total of 30 skeletons.
Are any of them done yet, or is everything still in process?
Nothing's fully completed because I'm not completely satisfied with where it's at, but I could put all the skeleton warriors together and they'd be technically done. They're all table ready.
Oh, okay.
But moving forward, I think I'm gonna take a break from core units and maybe paint a hero. Treat myself for a month.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw a cool there's like a Nagash army or like a Mortark priest that looked pretty sick, so I'll probably pick that up, and maybe if I can find a tomb prince on that like Facebook marketplace you showed me, pick that one up too.
Sweet. So what's the goal for next month?
Paint some heroes. Yeah. make it so I can have 2 core and 2 heroes game ready.
Okay. Yeah. That's like 800 points right there because of the 2 heroes.
Yeah, they are beefy.
Yep.
If they're naked, they're worthless. You have to put on magic armor and all these weapons.
The Tomb Prince is okay because isn't he strength or toughness 5 base?
I think he's strength and toughness 4. Tomb King is 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not really that impressive.
But he only has light armor, so I mean, a fucking great sword captain can kill him.
I was gonna say at that point, even if you have heavy armor, you're on a horse. A dude with a great weapon's still gonna kill most of your armor save anyway. So what does it matter, right? Like you might as well make him naked and make him cheaper. So
yeah, I guess.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing a finished skeleton and or hero in the future. So
yeah.
No, the color scheme I still think looks cool. So
thanks.
And at a distance, you can't tell that they have kind of that grainy look.
Yeah.
But on the same thing, I think the grainy look kind of works because they're in the desert. So
yeah, could be a benefit.
I'll put it this way: it doesn't look like your primer is so fuzzy to the point that it's ruining your model. I've seen that where it's like, why is your model textured?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to keep our trend here with the undead, and Eric's provided us with a very nice sequential set of pictures, which I might have to do for my next unit because I'm kind of jealous with how this looks. So walk us through, man. Looks like we got some ghouls this month.
Yeah, so for this month, I went back to the old metal ghouls to separate them from the newer plastics. This way they can represent the Charnel Guard, which are the Strigoi vampires, like elite ghouls, I guess.
Yep.
So what I did is I did something a little different as far as just the colors. So instead of doing the green that I did on the normal ghouls, I kind of went to a darker bluish gray. So they were primed, more of like a off-white color. And then I used a Drakenhof Nightshade to kind of give the base blue.
Oh, okay.
Went up through like Administratum Gray, I think, to kind of do a light gray highlight. And then kind of was picking out all the details along the way.
I'm assuming you dry brushed them?
Yeah, the gray I did.
Yeah. That's what I did with my ghouls back in the day, and they look great.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And again, as a Horde army, I'm more trying to just get them finished than do like a display case model. I think going forward, when I start on my vampires, those are ones I'm going to kind of take my time with and kind of spend a month just nailing that color scheme.
I have to point out I'm a fan of the Narthesium Space Marine Apothecary arm in the background.
Oh, yeah, I chopped apart a resin apothecary for parts.
Yeah. Cool, man. I'm almost jealous looking at these models just because there's like so less amount of detail than like the knights that I'm painting right now. I'm like, oh man, I could paint that in my sleep.
Yeah, even compared to the newer ghouls, there's just a lot less on them.
Oh yeah, there's no like random ropes or spines coming out of their back. So
yeah, but they definitely have like a bigger presence compared to the other ones, right?
Yeah,
they're the taller, kind of more
disproportional 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a whole unit done. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a month.
I mean, it was a pretty quick scheme for what I'm going for here. But yeah,
do the Charnel Guard rank up, or do they skirmish like regular ghouls?
So they are just like regular ghouls, but they have some bonuses to the stats.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Well, yeah, that's some good work there. So what's next? I mean, you've got what, 2 or 3 units fully painted now at this point, don't you?
Yeah, so I have a unit of regular ghouls done, a unit of skeletons done, and then this unit, the Charnel Guard, done.
This
I have
a
wraith.
Show off.
I have the wraiths I finished, the necromancers. So I think I want to do a vampire and actually do the.
How many points do you have painted at this point? You got to be getting close.
Oh yeah. I think if I were to like do everything, like it'd probably be close to done. Because I got the 2 necromancers.
All right. I'm just gonna paint up a dragon then and call it a day.
So I have a banshee, an old metal banshee that's sitting in a acetone bath trying to strip it.
Yeah.
So I might throw that one in there too. But I really want to focus on the vampire. So I have the Crimson Court one with wings and like a big mace that I'm gonna work on.
Nice. Sweet. Well, chugging along here, Eric has definitely taken the lead on all of us, so all of us have to catch up here a bit. We'll swing over to my stuff next. So not as much as I had hoped to do. I did not reach my goal of getting the Knights and the Juggernaut done. However, the Lord on the Juggernaut is finally finished. I took a couple different pictures, and this was the best lighting I could get. So you can see I did the black armor with the red trim, and it turned out pretty much as I envisioned. I was pretty happy with this. The armor I did the same way as the Warriors, primed them gray, dry brushed a lighter gray, and then did the contrast black over that, so it looks like it's kind of highlighted, especially on the edges. And then everything else was pretty much base coats, washes, layers, and edge highlights. Especially on the red, you can see the edge highlighting there, which was a pain in the ass, but I figured this is going to be the character leading the army, and this is a model that I've always wanted to have, so I figured after 20 years I had to give him the proper attention that he deserved. So yeah, it turned out pretty cool. I converted his axe, so he's got like a flail from the Getting Started box champion, and you can see that I put some blood effects on there. And again, this is pretty much all Duncan Paints Too Thin Coats paint line, including the zombie gore. He's got 2 different blood effects, so I don't know if I like it as much as Blood for the Blood God, but I think it works. I don't want to overdo it too much. Some people go crazy. Oh, he's Khorne, he's got to be head to toe in blood. So, but I'm pretty happy with it. He looks pretty stellar, I think. So I took him a little bit beyond everybody else, and it took a lot longer than I thought, especially just because it was like I painted the Juggernaut, then I had to paint the dude, so it took a little longer. I did start on the Knights, but my week off that I had last week, I did not get anywhere near as much work as I was hoping to get finished, at least for this project. So you can see I did the dry brush, the priming, and then did the black for the armor. And I started the metal. I think I got the metal done on like 3 of them, the base coat, and then I did the base coat on some of the like the capes and cloaks and some of that stuff. But there is so much detail on these knights to get through. So it's just going to take a long time to base coat everything and then have to highlight everything. Well, I'm not going to highlight, but base coat and at least wash everything. They'll probably get similar treatment to the warriors. I'm not going to go over the top here like I did with the Lord, but they're getting there. So, but the one in the middle, the guy with the banner, it's really hard to see in these pictures, but if you look in the second photo, you can see his back leg. It's just this teeny little rock. And the foot, it's like the tip of the foot is just like on the rock like that, and that's what holds the whole model together. And it's got a peg to go in the bases, but obviously I cut the pegs off. And even with the blue tack that I'm using, that model is so heavy because all the weight is in the front. So I'm constantly trying to mess with keeping it attached to the cork with the blue tack, and it's bending to the point where it's probably going to snap off the rock. So I don't know how I'm going to pin it because there's like that much surface area of the tip of the foot to get it. So that guy's turning out to be a big pain in the ass. The rest of them are fairly well balanced, especially you can see like they're in the middle where all their weight's distributed. So I'm not crazy about that guy, but we're going to have to make it work.
Maybe not a ideal solution, but you could put like a snowdrift behind the back leg or something to kind of like hide a secondary point of contact.
There definitely will be snow around his foot. I can only imagine that's how it's going to have to be, because I'll probably do the ice and then put the bases, their rock feet on top of the ice. So I'll probably have to cover up some around the rock so it doesn't look there's just like a weird rock sticking on top of the ice rather than coming through it. But I don't want to put it under the ice because then I think it'll look like he's sinking. So I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. You can see the bases in the background. I did do the base coat on them. Those are magnetic bases I got from Shogun Miniatures. So they're ready to go for the movement tray. And I was hoping to at least have the bases done, but I focused more on just getting the knights worked on. So got some time this weekend, and this will be the focus now for probably the next week or two, depending how my schedule looks. And then my wife was kind enough to get me the last thing I needed for my army, which was Chaos Warhounds. It was our anniversary last week. So that was the gift.
The anniversary.
Yeah, 4 years, man. So she she kept asking me what I wanted, and I couldn't think of anything. And then like the day of my anniversary, she's like, so like I feel bad I don't have a gift. And I'm like, it's not really a big deal for either of us. We don't really celebrate that much. But I looked around and I found these on eBay, and they were a little cheaper than buying them on Games Workshop site. And I couldn't buy them from Games Workshop anyway because they're not only sold out, but they were moved to like special order. So I got these for like $30. They're usually $35. So even with shipping, they were cheaper than buying them from GW. So that's the last thing. But I realized that in my list, I have either a unit of 6 or 2 units of 6. And I was planning, I already have a movement tray for 5. So I'll probably just have one random guy floating around on the side. But these will probably be fast. This will probably just be a dry brush paint job for the most part. So, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on a 60-point unit. So, and then I've got the movement trays ordered for the Dragon Ogres and the Knights. So I got some more custom stuff from Teutonic Studios. So all the movement trays will match. And that's it. So that's the entirety of the army. If I have time, which I think I will, I might paint up a sorcerer on foot. I've got one of the Games Day figures who's been sitting in a box for probably 15 years. So he might get released once I get the main army finished. But we're getting there. So plan for next month is to get the knights finished. And then I'll probably have the hounds built. And then maybe, if I'm fortunate, get either the hounds or the dragon ogres painted. So I'd like to have at least 2 more units done, but I think getting these and the dragon ogres might be a little bit too much work. And the dragon ogres are going to be more of like a centerpiece unit, so I'll put some time into them. So maybe I'll knock out the hounds. We'll see, just to show some progress and get some catch up on Eric over here. So that's the plan. And then we will move on to the Brian.
Hey. Yeah, so not a particularly productive month for me either. I think a little bit of post-Adepticon, like lull, a little bit of starting a new job, a little bit of some other stuff. But it's been interesting. It's been interesting. I did get a bunch of stuff. You see the photos I got a bunch of the knights into the simple green, Soylent Green, whatever you call it. Gave them a bath for like a long time actually, and they came out and went back in and came out and went back in. And interestingly, it's been kind of like a little kind of archival historical research stuff, because Dr. Gabe was nice enough to give these to me, and I would get them out of the simple green and like kind of brush them off and be like, oh, that red's gone, but look at that, there's like blue under it. I think these were going to be a blue army at one time, and then I put them back in the green and then pull them back out and like, oh, there's the now we're down to the primer, right? And like, so it's been like layer by layer kind of excavating his old ideas about like what's going to be what. And the simple green is really struggling. It's great on the metal. It's taking the paint off the metal figures like really, really well, but I'm really struggling to get it off some of the plastic. And I don't know, like I got to ask him what paint he's using or what primer he's using.
I've had the same problem because I was stripping a bunch of, actually remember when you gave me all those plague bearers back in the day?
Yeah.
That's where I really got into stripping models. And then there were, I had started buying a bunch of random Empire stuff, and there was a few things you sent me. You sent me some, believe it or not, Bretonnian knights.
Yeah.
Which I was going to use for some like conversions for Empire, and those were plastic. And I ran into the same problem. And what I ended up getting was it's this purple stuff that I think I have down here. Hold on, let me see if I still got the bottle. Yeah, hold on. What is it called?
Yeah, because I know like the other stuff eat the plastic.
Purple Power.
Purple Power.
All right. And I went even more crazy because, you know, I can't just do things halfway. I bought myself an agitator thing. Okay.
I've heard that's the way forward.
And this is like used for cleaning like jewelry and stuff like that. Yeah. But you fill this thing with some simple or purple power, and you know, I let it go for a couple cycles. I think it goes for like 10 or 20.
Them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it just does like a little vibration, but that helps. And for the most part, you know, I got them to about the point that you see like your damsel.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get every little nook and cranny off, but it did a pretty good job on most of it. And then I'd go through with a regular toothbrush and or like an electric toothbrush. And just scrub the shit out of them.
That's what I use, an old electric toothbrush on some of these, and that's what I've had the best results. So I've got the guy that's holding the hawk is going to be, I think, probably my like captain of the knights. I'm really looking at those questing knights as making them a thing, like a unit, kind of redoing my list. The damsel, now that I've got this damsel, which I was never going to buy off eBay because they're dumb in terms of like the pricing. But now when it arrived with Dr. Gabe, I'm like, well, maybe I'll use this damsel instead of, you know, put her on a horse and see what happens. So I'm kind of rethinking the list a little bit, and and because she came through pretty well in terms of getting cleaned up, I think I'm going to pivot the list a little bit to get her on that horse and you know, whatever, fiddle with the points as I need to, so I can paint that model.
Yeah, that'll be easy to reprime. I mean, the damsel herself is fine, and
if the horse is a little chunky, I don't think you'll even notice it, right? Like if some of that paint doesn't come off, that's fine.
Yeah, just don't overload your primer when you prime them again. Yeah. You know, most models can take 2 coats of primer before you really start to lose detail.
Yeah, so it's just a horse, right? It's like, I can paint that detail back in.
Just put her in the middle of the lance formation.
Right, exactly. She'll be in the right front and center. I did spend a lot of time cleaning up I got really excited by the Leon Corps.
Yeah, King Louis, I see that.
Yeah, so I took him apart and been kind of scrubbing him down piece by piece, and I'm really excited already about. But see, this is my problem. Is I'm like, okay, this is cool, but stay focused on those archers. You got to get those archers done before you get to do this.
Before we do the 600-point King of Bretonnia.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, you know, he's going to come in the 2,000-point list. But and then the other thing, I ordered these a long time ago, but I've never really liked those stakes. You know, that like those They never stood up for me very well anyway, but like I just never liked the look of them either, that go in front of the archers. So I was thinking about, I ordered these stone walls, and there's one with like a stone gate. I know it'd be a little bit silly if they were like marching around and moving a wall with them, but whatever, who cares? But this is going to represent, this is going to count as my stakes. Like they're hanging out behind a little stone hedge or stone wall, like
Yeah, they're defending the village.
some farm. Yeah, exactly. So those came in finally. They're actually primed there. It doesn't look like it, but got them primed at least. And that's the kind of stuff I love, painting that kind of scenery stuff anyway. So get those going, and have my dudes looking like they're a bunch of villagers doing the thing that villagers do.
Where did you get the walls from?
It was off Etsy.
I figured. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a 3D print off Etsy. I went down a rabbit hole. I've gone down a couple rabbit holes because initially I was looking for. So I haven't found yet like the what do they call it? The braziers.
Braziers.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah, like the fire. So I need to find something for that. I haven't found anything really that I like yet.
Check
been looking.
Check the bits for the corpse cart. It's got braziers on the back.
Corpse
Those
cart.
might work. Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah. All right, corpse cart. Didn't think of that. I've been too literal. I've been looking for
32 millimeter brazier. Go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I've been doing, and I've been finding tons of like stuff that's just not quite right. But so once I get that, I'm going to be feeling really, I think, good in terms of like the archers, and actually this call has been kind of motivating for me too, to be like, okay, get back on it. Like now you gotta get this stuff done.
Well, with all three of your units here in this picture, like out of focus, in focus, out of focus, it's coming together. It looks cool. Like it's starting to feel like an army is being pieced together here. So
yeah, hopefully this next month, then it will I'll turn the corner and really have like something together.
Yeah, are the knights finished?
No, they're not.
Okay.
They've gotten very little attention.
I was gonna say, because they look like they're a little bit further along than even the archers.
They are a little bit, but so the ones that are on there right now, like with the red and the green, that's Gabe's stuff. Those are the ones that got stripped down.
No, I'm talking about the ones in the photo with the archers, the ones in the background.
Oh
here.
yeah, no, yeah, they're very close. They're very, very close. I think like just one day of effort and they're going to be ready to go for sure.
Well, there you go, man. Go do that today.
Exactly.
Boom.
Done.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what's the plan then for next month? What's the goal?
So all the units of archers have to be done. Period. The knights will be done, and then after that, I think the wall will be done. Hopefully, I'll have found a brazier that will work by then. If I can just like get over that final part, right? All archers are done, knights are done, and then I feel like I get to do like the rewarding stuff, like working on the paladin, who I'm really excited about. Get that paladin up and going, and maybe even it's also the paladin that's going to be like the general on the Pegasus.
Yeah.
I've been holding off on that one because I really want to spend time on it and make it something good.
Well, we're at the halfway point here, so it's time, fellas, as we get into the second half of this. Again, I can't remember if today's episode 3 or 4.
I think it's 4.
I think it's actually, it's recording 5, but it's episode 4 because we had an intro. So we're actually technically past the halfway point. So we have 2 months left if that was the plan, which I think it still is. So we'll see. It's coming out of the wire, but at least we've got some stuff painted, if nothing else. And hopefully Old World will be here later this year. We can only hope. So, well, it's been fantastic, fellas. Thank you for joining me as always. And listeners, thank you for stopping by and checking us out. You know the deets, but I think that's it for us today. So anything else anybody wants to share before we sign off? No? All right. Well, thank you again, listeners, and we will see you same time, same place next month. Nighty-night. Hello, listeners. Great Unclean One here. I just wanted to thank you for taking your time to watch this video. For more content like this, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons? And if you're a fan of role-playing games, then be sure to check out one of our actual play series. We've got campaigns of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Alien the role-playing game, and Warhammer 40,000 Wrath and Glory, with plenty more to come. Finally, a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your support means the world to us, and you help push the channel to even greater heights. We simply could not do this without all of you. And if you'd like to help support the channel yourself, even more than a like or subscribe, consider joining our Patreon and get yourself some cool rewards. Link in the description below. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next one. Same time, same place. Nighty night.